2H Rut Club Radio. Rut Club Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome to Rut Club Radio. I'm Eric Clark, your host from the Where to Hunt podcast. And this week, what's up? It's just me for now. Greg will be here for our 7 o'clock, but wanted to jump on here, and I think this has got to be like the absolute peak of Rut Club Radio in terms of rut activity. Folks have been messaging me pictures of deer and running around. My buddy called me and said there was one staring at the road. So there's definitely seems to be an uptick in activity. There's chasing and seeking going on. And, you know, lo and behold, the temperatures have been hot. However, it sounds like they're about to cool down. There's a front coming through right now, just passed through here. So I think the conditions are pretty darn good. You know, rain coming through. It's going to dry up, you know, overnight, essentially, with colder temps on the back side of it. And so all these bucks that have been kind of just hunkering down potentially in the hot weather, I think they're going to let loose over the next couple of days. That's my opinion. I would love to hear what everyone else has to say, what they think is going on or what they've seen going on. Obviously, they've been hitting the ground. I mean, we've been seeing people kill deer all over social media. The buck I got last week on Wednesday stunk like a rut buck for sure. So he wasn't engaged in any rutting activity that I had witnessed. He seemed pretty casual walking across this opening. So there were does in the area. I'm not sure if they were hot, but I think we're there, folks. Pretty damn exciting. Hey, thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. It's a big deal for me. For those that don't know, that's my first bow buck, and it was done on public land, so I'm really excited and proud of that. So cheers to that, I suppose. Anyone wants to call in, the phone number is live. The line is open. I'm ready to talk to whoever wants to call to tell me what they got going on, what they're seeing, all that good stuff. So let's see who we'll hear from tonight and who's been out, who's on rutcation, who's not, I've heard some people having some missed opportunities, unfortunately. That happened to me earlier this season too, so I can identify with that and empathize with it. I've not had this Laphroaig in a while. And my wife had not heard of the term peaty as a way to describe Scotch, but it is very peaty, which gives it a incredibly smoky taste. This one's almost too smoky for my liking. It tastes like I'm drinking liquid smoke. It's crazy. I'm going to drink it because I want to finish this guy off here. We got to save some of the bottles of 12-point bourbon from Drop Time for deer camp. Yeah, and then we're having a guest tonight on at 7 from Hunter Nation. So that'll be an interesting one considering kind of where we're at within the election stuff. So not that I'm going to get into politics or anything like that personally, but interesting guest lining up of the dates, how that kind of panned out. I didn't even realize that when I booked it. So that'll be fun. And, I don't know if we're going to have time on that one to share my story of what had all happened, how it all gone down last week, but I'm super, super stoked. I was in pretty big disbelief out of the gate. I just couldn't believe that it had actually happened. Even standing over it, I was like, am I dreaming? Is this real? Is it dead? Am I sure? So, and my daughter was super, super, super stoked. She was just so excited. It was like the cutest thing in the world. So I was very, very happy to get that done, and just a lot of general excitement last week. I appreciate everybody reaching out and giving me a pat on the back, if you will. Pretty cool stuff. But as a result of doing that, I didn't go out this last week, and I soaked up time with the family, got yard work done, raked the leaves all day Saturday, and got some other home projects done. So I didn't get out in the woods, so I don't know, what the activity was like. So hopefully some of y'all can call in here and tell me what you're seeing. I'd love to hear from you guys too. It's nice to talk to folks that listen. I do this every week. It's always my favorite part when someone calls in. And if you happen to have a scotch or a beer or a bourbon or a whiskey or whatever the hell you drink, gin and tonic, I don't know, we get to share a drink together virtually here, which is kind of fun. Or are the days of like calling people over, is that done? Do people not want to pick up the phone anymore? Or is it just awkward because it's like a live thing? Because people call into radio shows all the time, and we're not nearly as big as any radio show. So I guarantee very few people will hear us talking. I promise it won't be a big deal. I know otherwise people are just busy with their family and kids and dinner and work and such. So it's hard to know the best time to do this. If this is my full-time gig, I would probably just do it, for a couple hours in the middle of the day and try to get people calling on their lunch break or something like that. I think that'd be kind of cool. Speaking of that, I know there's only a few folks in the room right now, but perhaps, maybe I'll share this out to one of the groups or something like that, but perhaps considering changing the time for the live broadcast, the traditional 7 o'clock, if anybody has any thoughts on a good time. I'm thinking about making it a little bit earlier. So instead of maybe 7 o'clock, I was considering once we, get into the new year here or whatever, a 6 o'clock or maybe even like a 5 o'clock. So would love to hear anybody's thoughts on that. Trev, congratulations on your freaking monster buck, buddy. How you doing? Whiskey here. Tornado watch in Wisconsin. Yeah, I'm getting the alerts on my phone here too, Dan. Down here in Oconomowoc, we got some swirling activity going on. I guess we'll stay frosty here. Happy birthday to the Marines, FYI. Ton Tavern, born out of a bar. Hoorah, Semper Fi. Pretty cool. November 10th. Was it 245 years or something like that? I can't do math. I know, Trev, you call in all the time, buddy. So I don't, if you want to call in because you want to call in, I would love to talk with you. I'd love to have you on here. And next week on Tuesday, we're doing Rut Club, the whole show. It's our gun opener in Wisconsin next Saturday. So next week we're doing our Blaze Orange Tuesday show. It's going to be Rut Club the whole way through, which basically just means Greg and I will be wearing all Blaze Orange. We're going to get a couple beers here and, we're going to just take calls from folks talking about what they're bringing to gun season and where they're going. And that should be a really fun episode. So I'll have to promote that a little bit, I think. And by the way, for those tuning in, if you haven't gone over to Heated Hunts, I can't remember if I call out the ad or not. So either you're getting it twice or for the first time. But go on over to heatedhunts.com. Use code WHERE, the number 2, the word hunt, for 10% off. This would be a good time to use some Brute Buck scent or something like that, or some Doe and Estrus, and get that thing heated up to get that scent to carry and see if you can draw some other bucks in. I think it's a pretty effective tool. If you use that with a decoy, you probably up your odds even more, but I don't hunt with the decoy. I do hunt with the Heated Hunt stuff. When I hunted last Wednesday, I didn't use it because I came in like hot. I just was like barreling through. I had very little time to get out and get set up. I could barely get my stand hung. I was only one stick high. The stand was like cockeyed and all wonky on the tree and shit. So like I just was sweating up a storm, got in there and tried to quiet myself down as fast as possible, and ended up having obviously a good night and a good sit. So I didn't have time to like set that up. I wasn't even thinking about it, and it worked out okay. Obviously, I don't know if that would have maybe drew him in a little closer. He was on a pattern. So I did not have this buck pattern, but he was on some sort of routine. You could tell he was very casual about it. In fact, when I told the taxidermist they asked how I wanted, I said, I want to be like a chill buck. He was pretty chill and I got him. What up, Trev? You're live on Rut Club Radio. What's going on?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm freaking great, man. I'm still on cloud 9. How about you?
Still on cloud 9. Still on cloud 9.
That a girl. Way to get her done. No.
You too, buddy. I was so excited for you, man.
It's my first bow buck. And on public land. I'm just, it's a late bloomer to hunting. I don't think many people know that, but I'm pretty stoked about it, dude.
And you're a stud.
I don't know about that, but I got lucky, dude. I got real lucky with the shot placement. Severed the femoral artery, but it was a far back shot, so I got really lucky.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
How about you?
Happy for you, bro. It was a great buck.
I appreciate that. I'm getting him mounted, so I was just saying that's what I'm doing, and I'm actually using Outdoor Addiction Taxidermy here in Wisconsin. It's a one-stop shop, so he's going to CWD test my meat, butcher it up, and then he's going to freaking mount it all in one stop, so it's pretty cool.
Nothing better than that, man. I wish we had some of those around here.
It's the only one in the state that I'm aware of that's doing it that way. He's a pretty motivated fucking dude too. He's like he runs on jet fuel. If you ever fucking follow the guy, he's a maniac.
You got to be. Could you imagine how busy he gets by the end of the season?
It's nuts, man. So what happened with you? Like tell me how your stuff went down. I don't want you to like tell me if you are trying to save it for your stuff. So whatever you're comfortable with.
No. I think it's already up and out there, so I guess I can share it along. No, man, we went down to Ohio to do a public land hunt with a couple of people. We went down there with a guy named Eric Smith, aka Bones, and hunted with him. And Stephen Clark went down with us, and we were hunting on some public land. I was down there for a little over a week and a half, and found some really good sign. Went and hunted it. Stephen went in there, hunted it, had an opportunity at an absolute giant. There was actually a hot doe in there, and the big bucks were in there, and so we decided to divide and conquer, and we each got on either side of the bedding ground, and he just happened to come out at last light, man. We got in there real early, sat there all day sit. I had like 5 different shooters from like 120 and up come out and just couldn't get the shot, or it just wasn't right, or wasn't on camera. And then at last light, man, I was filming this little 6-pointer at the base of my tree, and he got all kinds of like nervous. He was like shaky, and like kept looking up and everything like this. And then the woods just exploded, and you just hear trees breaking and smashing. And I turned the camera, and there he was, man. He was making a scrape and a rub on a tree and just going absolutely berserk. And I just thought it was the most magnificent thing in the world, man. It's just absolute giant, just ripping the woods up. And I didn't even think about shooting him at this time. I'm just watching him do his thing, and then he starts to walk out.
How far was he when you were observing him?
Probably 75 yards.
Okay. Did you get the glass on him right away and watch him through there to get excited, or were you just kind of like, okay, I see a buck over there, cool?
So I turned the camera right on him and just started filming him right from the start. And he would then that's when I started to get kind of excited, but I was like, it's just so cool. And then not even in me was it like, I'm going to kill this deer. I was like, this is badass, dude. This thing is just tearing the woods up, man. It's like once in a lifetime of seeing something like this. So then he starts coming out of the thicket, and I'm like, wow, this might actually happen. So I grab my bow, and I'm watching him, and he's kind of like walking away. And then at the last second, he takes a 90-degree turn and just starts walking right at me. And I was like, wow, this is really about to happen. So I stop him.
Dude,
he's at 22
awesome.
yards. I just let him have it, dude. It was crazy.
How many yards? You said 20 yards for the shot?
There's a video. 22 yards.
22.
Yeah, it was 22 yards.
And what are you using
It
for your
was
sight pin? What did you you
crazy,
got a single sight pin, or what do you got?
Yeah, I'm running a CBE single pin, and I just had it at 20. And the only reason I knew it was 22 is because I had another deer at the same exact spot earlier in the day, and I had ranged him, and it was 22 yards, so I didn't have to range it. I knew if they came through that opening, it was 22 yards. And I just put the 20 right on his shoulder and let him have it. And, of course, I hit him right in the shoulder.
What are you shooting for arrows?
And punched right through the shoulder. I'm shooting just actually really light setup. I think I want to say right around 475, 485, something like that.
Okay.
I'm shooting Easton Hexes, actually, and with a Zeus up front, man. And I'll tell you, I swear by that broadhead. If I was shooting any other broadhead, I may have had a different result, but it actually blew through the shoulder, went all the way through, hit the rib on the other side, and came out and was extruded about an inch and a half, and it was right underneath the skin. So I had a complete pass-through, and I had gone through the center bone of his shoulders. And when we had gotten down and got over there was no blood or no hair, man. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh, no, yeah.
And then kept going, and I found the broken arrow. So, but it was crazy. He only went like about 40 yards and piled up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was nuts.
That's
Crazy.
awesome. Dude,
Crazy.
super
But the
freaking
thing
cool.
just
You must have been
slowed down.
jacked.
Oh, I was in a whole different world, man. I didn't even think I was on planet Earth at the time when we came up to him.
That's how I
It
feel.
was nuts.
That's awesome. So you do European skull mounts, and I think you got bugs. I don't know what they're called. I forget. But
Yep.
are you going to Euro mount it, or
Beetles.
that's right? That's right. Are you
No,
gonna?
he's getting a full shoulder mount, man.
Do you do that too? Do you do shoulder mounts?
My first. No. I have a really good friend of mine that I work with that does them, so he's gonna do it for me. So
Nice, man.
my first lunar with the bow, so I'm excited.
Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, yours is looking real pretty. Mine's not as big, but not that I care. To me, it's like fuck the first buck with a bow. I gotta do it. So, dude, doing a mount ain't fucking cheap
That's
either.
like
Holy shit.
What does it cost out there?
Nah, I don't know if I want to say because I don't want to give his prices out like that, but it was a little over $500. So it's like I probably could get it done for less if I just go to like a guy. And I know some guys, and maybe next time I will. But I really like what they got going on over at this shop, so I really was happy to give them my money for this.
That's cool.
The one-stop
Yeah,
shop
it's
keeps you from
about
driving
going
everywhere,
rate
which is
here, too.
cool. What's that?
I said that's about the going rate around here too.
Yeah, that's
500
good.
to 600, depending on who you go to.
Okay, making me feel better. In my mind, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, $300 or something like that, right? Nope. I was like, damn. Got to get another sponsor.
A European mount right now is like 175.
No shit. Wow. Yeah, I guess if you do the bugs though, and then it's like super clean, right?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a whole different. Yeah, you get the nose cartilage, the teeth are all nice and structurally put in there, and so
That's good. I buried mine.
Definitely the way to go.
I got a 7-pointer that I put in the dirt over for like 9 months or something like that, dug it up, and then everything just was gone. So I rinsed it out a little bit, soaked it, and then painted it with some flat white to whiten it back up, and put some like wood stain on the antlers to bring some color back into those, and it turned out all right. It's on the shelf in the background, so it's just that was my first Euro mount that I did myself. Otherwise, everything else is just I got a bunch of antlers laying around because I would cut the antlers off the skulls when you take them to the meat processor back in the day.
Right, exactly. That's the way to do it.
That's cool. Well, congrats, dude.
Is the rock kicking over there?
Yeah, I think it is. That's what I was just trying to get a gauge on. Most folks that I'm talking to are seeing stuff. It's been super hot here. Like we were, in like the mid 70s. Like it was hot in our house, and it's like, I think it's slowed things down a little bit. So what I suspect with the cold front that's coming through right now, it's gonna get crazy for the next couple of days. Which some of it could bleed into our gun season here, which is next Saturday. So that could be really exciting to have more of a late rut. But I think we're kind of in it at the moment.
Yeah, I feel the same here. I mean, we're in the same temperature realm as you guys. I mean, it's been slow movement during the day. The early mornings when it's cold, it's pretty much lock and load. A lot of chasing. A lot of the smaller bucks are getting kind of crazy. But we're supposed to get a little bit of rain here Wednesday into Thursday. It's supposed to stop around noon. And then the temperature is going to drop like a rock. And I really feel that things are going to get kind of crazy. And that for gun season also, because our season kicks in here about the 18th.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you're like a couple days before us.
I think the big dogs are going to get crazy.
Yep. And then you got all the pressure, all the pressure from gun hunters. Like my guess is we'll have well over 600,000 people in the woods throughout the state. And, all that movement and shooting and hopefully cold temps and maybe a late rut. Like it should be a really fun gun season.
Yeah, a lot of big deer are hitting the ground this year, especially here. I mean, because with the mild winters that we've been having, seeing a lot of them in the taxidermy shop, I mean, some absolute studs. So I think there'll be a lot of big deer get shot with gun season across the board, I feel.
For sure. Well, good luck, everybody, and get out there. This is it. Like the best thing you can do, we've heard it from everybody, is just get out there and stay as positive as you can. Because it could turn around in a second.
Persistence.
Yeah, it's awesome, dude. Well, I'm super happy for you. We'll share my story. I'm not going to debut it just now, but we'll share my story on how it all went down for me. I shared a little bit of it on like Instagram, but we'll get into detail here soon, I'm sure.
I'll be tuning in, Eric.
All right, buddy. Have a good night. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, you too. Take care, bud. Thanks for having me.
It's always good to hear from Trev. If you guys don't know, for those that are in the room, Trev hosts a podcast called The Outdoor Drive. You might want to go check it out. It's slightly better than ours. Ours is only okay, but his is probably pretty good. They cover a lot more of the spectrum of all of the outdoors. So not just hunting and whitetails. They cover all sorts of stuff. And Trev's on a charter boat, out at sea, fishing all the time. And he's a super good cook. And he does some taxidermy for like Euro mounts and such. So good dude, knows his shit, got a big buck. Go check it out. It's pretty awesome. It's kind of a big deal. I'm about to finish that Lefroy or the liquid smoke. I don't know. I don't have much else to say unless other people want to call in. Like I said, I wasn't in the woods over the weekend, but I'm excited to get some venison. I know Greg got 2 does so far this season, and he hasn't had eyes on bucks, I don't think, yet. I've had eyes on 5, including the one I had seen, and I obviously had shot one and completely missed. So I've had 2 opportunities and executed on one of the 2, and then 3 others just were not even doable at all. So anybody on the line? I don't see anybody here. Sorry, I got a text. Got distracted. I did. I don't know if you guys remember or not. If you guys saw on Instagram, I was practicing my snort wheezing like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I got to try it out, and the buck ran off. The biggest buck I've ever seen with a bow in hand, well in a tree stand. The other biggest buck I've seen on public land was bow in hand, but I was in a canoe, so I didn't have a shot at him at all. But I tried snort wheezing at the one when I was in the tree for, and I grunted. He stopped. He was going away from me, so it was like, all I had in my arsenal to try to get him to come my direction. He wasn't headed that way at all, so I thought, well, it's not going to hurt any, right? So I grunted, and he stopped. Grunted again, and then he didn't care at all. So then I tried to snort wheeze because he was pretty big. So I thought maybe he's a dominant buck, and he just took off. He didn't like that at all. So, in terms of like rut activity, that was 2 weeks ago, I think, when that had happened. That was on a Sunday, so not this last Sunday, but the Sunday before. So, about 2 weeks ago. Didn't respond to that stuff. I would have to imagine maybe this next couple days, like more of that will work or could work, or maybe you could start rattling and such and see if, that could call them in. A couple more minutes here. We'll see if anybody else wants to call in, give us a report, and tell us what they got going on, or if they just want to shoot the shit. I'll hang out here for a minute. You got any comments in here? People can comment too. If you guys you want to drop in the comments, you can totally do that. I'll read them off. All I know is Dan's drinking whiskey, and a bunch of my brother-in-law's friends are in here. And Clayton says, hey, boys, even though it's just one man. We got Jacob Plock in Schlossgosch, hanging out on a Tuesday. I did see a lot of dead deer and a lot of very big dead deer with their antlers cut off on the way to drop the buck off at the taxidermist and butcher. So if that's a signal for anything, I haven't been on the road a whole bunch, but our east to west here in Wisconsin 94, there was I think there were 6 or 7 deer on the side, and maybe 3 or 4 were bucks. And then on the way home, there was another one that wasn't there on the way out there. So I think someone smashed into one that same morning. That was last Thursday. So pretty crazy, I think. I feel like I want to still get back out there. I could go shoot some more does, but my wife's pretty happy that I got a buck, so I can be home, which is good. And then I'll be out for a gun. So I'll shoot whatever I can with my gun to get some more meat in the freezer. And if I see a buck, we got a tag for that. So that'd be if I get a double buck year, that'd be pretty cool. That's never happened. All right, folks. No more calls in the queue, so I'm going to go ahead and end the live broadcast for Rut Club Radio. Tune back in at 7 for our full feature show, and we'll talk to everybody soon.